Let's talk about COVID and its effect on a very vulnerable population, prisoners. It was just about 2 years ago when we started reporting on the rampant outbreaks in community settings like prisons, where people are not always able to stay 6 feet apart from others or isolate safely if they're exposed. Since then, 45 prisoners in Oregon have died of coronavirus and more than 5,000 others have gotten COVID. That's a bunch. Those prisoners and their families are part of a class action lawsuit now that was just approved by a federal judge. Juan Chavez from the Oregon Justice Resource Center explains how we got here.
This pandemic began 2 years ago, and really right at the beginning, we recognized that DOC here in Oregon, and they incarcerate up to 13,000 people in our state, we're not up to the task for keeping people safe. I think we heard enough stories from people on the inside, and we heard from the people at the top that gave us enough concern that we needed to file a lawsuit. So we filed in April of 2020 a lawsuit meant to get more protection for incarcerated people. Unfortunately, the judge denied our initial relief that we sought, and by that time people were already dying and getting sick. So we decided to pivot to a class action for money damages for anybody who catches COVID-19. And just this last week, the judge finally granted our request to make this a class action. So we are now a class of 5,000 plus people in 45 or so wrongful death estates.
We know courts can move at a snail's pace, so we can't really tell you how long it's going to take to resolve this case. But I want you to carefully listen to the next soundbite from Chavez, because I know some of you are watching at home and thinking this special attention on the prisoners, it's unwarranted. They were convicted of crimes.
This is a unique situation where the Constitution does require the government to take care of a certain set of people. I think us on the outside feel maybe that they're getting special privileges by having access to healthcare at the level that they're getting, but it's just fundamentally not the experience of people on the inside. They are still suffering a great deal and still struggle to get medical care in a lot of respects. But fundamentally, that's because that's how the Constitution is designed, and we need to be able to protect those folks. And so for that reason, it's really kind of limited to prisons, and even then it's a high standard of what we call deliberate indifference. That's the standard we need to prove, and that's one that we'll hopefully meet.
By the way, this is the same group that successfully sued to get COVID vaccine priority for inmates. Remember that? Early last year, when the vaccine supply was limited, a judge ruled that prisoners should get their shots at the same time as people in long-term care facilities.